All right, guys, we want to welcome Jessica on the show today. Jessica, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. We're so excited to learn about just your backstory a little bit, but also your expertise in mindfulness and how that came about. But first, you were an art teacher, right?
Yes, I was.
So what got you? I mean, I'm guessing you're probably artistic and that's what got you involved, or no? Tell me your backstory a little bit.
Yeah, I've always been into art and DIY things, and
That's awesome.
I would always draw my cartoons as a kid. So when I started working, I found this art teacher position, and that was like my dream job when I was 17 years old, 18 years old, and that's how I got into it. And I loved it. It was amazing.
Because you were teaching children, right? It was an after-school program?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. No. So how was that teaching? What age were they?
Elementary kids.
Elementary. How was that? Because I mean, I work with kids at church and everything, and so I'm sure it was fun, but also challenging.
I loved it. It
Yeah.
got me. It was like I was I've never like had my own classroom at that time.
Okay.
And I had my own class of 20 something children, and
Wow.
oh my gosh, I loved it. I learned classroom management skills real quick, and
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, that's awesome. So what made you want to start teaching the art to the kids? I know you love art, but was there a reason you chose elementary age kids, or was it just a position that opened, or?
probably both.
Yeah. I
But
gotcha.
elementary age has definitely been like my babies. I've worked mostly
Yeah.
with elementary age group children in different ways, whether it was art and science and
Okay.
all different topics.
That's awesome. It's definitely a challenge to work with that age of kids for sure, just from what little experience I've had. And so, but you've noticed something while working with them and teaching them with art and those other subjects that you could use mindfulness to help different maybe problems that were occurring.
Yeah. So as an after school teacher, I would
Uh-huh.
have different challenges that would come up, like their dress was purple and they wanted it to be pink. And so then they would cry
Yeah.
because that was the end of the world to them. Or bigger, or, different ways was like it would be 3:05 and their mom said they would be there to pick them up at 3. So the world was ending to them. So they would, whatever the degree was that was affecting them, their challenge was, I would practice these mindfulness exercises and not even realize that I was practicing mindfulness exercises. It kind of just came naturally
Yeah.
at first. And I would, hold up my fingers and say, okay, blow out the candles. And they would blow it, and then they'd be taking their deep breaths.
Yeah.
And then years later, once I studied mindfulness for myself, I
Uh-huh.
realized, I'm like, oh, I've been using these tools with children all along.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So besides the blowing out of the candles, what other kind of techniques were you using with the kids that helped?
It was a lot of just like in the moment things. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that one of the little girls loved is she would always be pouting when, she was upset.
Uh-huh.
So she'd be pouting, and I would point to like her stomach and be like, oh, here's where the smile is. And then we would slowly work her way up to her mouth, and then the smile would come. By the time we got to the mouth, it was perfect.
That's
So it was
awesome.
little things. Yeah, it was really fun.
Oh, sure.
Little things like that would bring them, just back to the moment, out of their head of whatever their challenge they were facing was.
So you saw a good response from the kids using this, majority of them, or?
Oh yeah, always.
That's so
like
cool.
It always helped them with whatever challenge they were facing.
That's pretty cool. Did you, I'm curious, did you ever like mention it to the parents? Like, yeah, they had a little meltdown, but we did this and it got better. And did any of them ever like say, hey, we actually tried that at home or anything like that? Did you notice?
Not at the time. I was always very close with all of the parents.
Okay.
So I definitely informed them of anything that, whatever we faced during that day, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But since I've been, consciously or intentionally teaching mindfulness, I've had lots of really good feedback. I actually created an interactive coloring book.
Oh, wow.
Right here. It's called
That's
Breathing
awesome.
Color. So I have a lot of parents coming back to me and telling me which breathing exercise they practice, and how it's, benefiting them to fall asleep or help with their anxiety.
That's
Lots
pretty
of really
cool.
good
Yep.
feedback.
Because now you've implemented what you're doing and as you've learned into adults as well, right? Now that's kind of what you do.
Mostly still with children, but
Okay.
Adults as well, like family settings.
Okay. Awesome.
And teachers.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of steps? What do you like doing when you start out with like teachers or family setting to help them kind of start learning the mindfulness?
So I've traveled to schools where I'll work in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
and with the teachers there, and we'll practice different mindfulness exercises as the classroom as a whole.
Okay.
And then with families, it's more workshop styles where we'll, practice different tools and coping skills, self-care tools, self-awareness
Yeah.
exercises. And then I work one-on-one with the children and families,
Okay.
which is online. And
Okay.
we'll do different things depending on the child.
That's pretty cool. So you've seen a lot of benefit using mindfulness with these quote unquote clients, the individuals you help.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
I think
incredible.
I think mindfulness, I just got into it more deeply, I guess, last year, just for like controlling stress, controlling thoughts, controlling all of that. And man, it really does make a difference is what we think about and how we control our breathing. So what do you find, I mean, besides that, the importance of using mindfulness, especially in adult lives?
The importance of it in adult lives, I
Yeah.
think it helps whether it's an adult or a child. It just helps us handle whatever challenges that we're facing. So it's just different challenges that we face as we grow up. But being able to be mindful, it just brings us back to the moment and out of our head, because we spend so much time like worrying about the future or the past, stuff that's already happened, like it's already the past, and we're not, as adults, we don't really put the past in the past very well.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
worrying about the future, like, bills or
Oh yeah,
whatever the different stresses are.
absolutely.
But when we practice different things like gratitude or belly breathing, just the things that, take us out of our head and back into the moment, that really helps us.
Yeah. What would you say are like the key benefits that people have felt or gained or like have told you? What are the key benefits that they see after starting these processes of mindfulness?
Happier, more
Happier?
positive. Yeah,
That's awesome.
definitely happier. Facing different challenges, or, facing the challenges differently now.
Yeah.
So where their reaction normally would be anger, now, they're able to take a step back and assess whatever the situation is from a different perspective.
I think that's huge, because I think so many times we get caught up in whatever's going on and we just react like quickly without taking that breath, without taking that pause to kind of take it all in and have that relaxed response, instead being more cognitive of what we're doing instead of reactive. I think that's really cool, especially teaching it in such a young age to kids. Man, I can't imagine like working on that with kids, and then instead of them throwing a tantrum, you see them taking deep breaths instead of throwing a tantrum. That would be, I'm going to try that at church from now on. With those kids, if something like that happens, that's a great idea. I think that's so cool that you're doing that so early on and making them aware.
It's the tools that I wish that I had as a child. Like
absolutely.
I was raised in a very positive environment, and I had, my mom was a single mom, but she did a great job and was constantly, giving me positive words of affirmation. But I still, suffered in different things. My dad was the opposite, more tough love type. So even though I had the positive, I still, went down, like I struggled with depression and anxiety. And it's like once I learned these tools, I was really able to help myself out of those struggles. And that's why I think it's so important to teach children at a young age. So hopefully they
absolutely
don't face those struggles.
Yeah. And you mentioned the affirmations that your mom would speak. Now, do you practice doing self affirmations in your life now still?
I do. I'm big with affirmations. I
Yeah.
actually have a software on my computer that pops up different affirmations while I'm on the computer. So
That's
it's
cool.
subconsciously, yeah, it's amazing. And then mirror work, I do when I remember.
Yes.
I don't
Right.
always remember it, but
Yeah.
when I do look in the mirror, I'll try to give myself a compliment.
Yeah. It's people are like, really, you look in the mirror and you say good things about yourself, but I challenge them, try it. It's harder than you think because we're
Yeah,
so inept to say something bad about ourselves. It's so much easier to say something bad about ourselves than good, which I think is it's sad. It really is.
yeah, yeah. I like that challenge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing with looking with mirror work is
Mm-hmm.
it's funny. Like you feel silly and you feel weird, so you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
So there's like a win-win. Like
Yeah.
you're upping your confidence, you're laughing, so it's always good to laugh. So
Yeah.
like it's all around good stuff
Oh,
when you do mirror work.
absolutely. And I think it just plays right into the subconscious that we're not aware of really. Whether it be what we put in our bodies through what we eat, or what we put in our mind through what we think about or say about ourselves, like it really has an effect on us, on our health, on the people that we come in contact with, more than what we really taught,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I just
absolutely.
yeah. And I think so many people deal with that nowadays, especially with social media and the judging of ourselves based on what they see, because everyone's perfect on social media. That's really all you ever see. I mean, there are people that are more transparent, but like, yeah, I think especially in kids, they have to deal with that so much more. And I think teaching this at such a young age is going to be a huge benefit down the road. I think what you're doing is so awesome. Do you have like future goals with it? Like, are you growing something, trying to grow, or what are your future goals with it?
Oh yeah, lots of goals.
Yeah.
I want to get into more schools and ideally get accredited so I
Mm.
can offer more teacher workshops so then they
Mm-hmm.
can get credits for taking my workshops.
Yeah.
And there was a little girl that I used to babysit when she was little in preschool and elementary school. And when she was 13, she took her life. And I really want to honor her. And there's creating Victoria's Village, which
Mm-hmm.
will be in honor of her and to offer like teen retreats, she was a little girl, so teen girl retreats,
Mm.
and then an online community
Wow.
as well. And then more books,
Yeah.
sequels will be another thing.
That's awesome.
I feel
Man,
like
that's
I'm
so
doing
tough
stuff.
to see kids like take that route,
Yeah,
and uh like I can't imagine just being that close with someone who's had that. And especially kids, it's always tougher when you
oh yeah,
lose a kid like that or someone of that age. Because think about my
yeah,
niece. I mean, she's that age, and so being able to speak positive into their lives and really try to make a difference. Um, what I guess what would you suggest that people with maybe who have children or don't, or just in their lives, like where do they need to start in this whole mindfulness, self-image reconstruction almost? Where would you have people start if they're really trying to change their mindset about this?
me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Everyone seek out Jessica and get her information
Right?
and get a part of it for sure.
um, on a more serious note.
No, right.
I would say, well, simple, just like gratitude,
Yeah.
tying in gratitude every single day, like when, making it a habit, whether it's like in the morning, on the
Mm,
drive to school or at the dinner table or something where you can create a consistent habit with sharing gratitude. Sharing accomplishments, I think, is another big thing. So we feel like we did something that day. Even if it's as small as like I got out of bed today or I took
yeah.
a shower, like that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. I
Give
made
props
my
for
bed
it
this
all,
morning. Yes.
right?
Yep. That's awesome.
So, or simple breathing exercises. Belly breathing is a big
Mm,
one. I actually have a text message service that's free.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
weekly mindfulness tips. So people can start there.
That's
That's another
awesome.
option.
What's that number?
It's text mindful to 474747.
Awesome. There you go, people. Start texting. Unless you're driving, don't do it while you're driving. Do it
Please
after.
don't.
But
Not
no,
while
yeah. So that's awesome. That's a cool service for sure. That's really neat to offer that. Because yeah, I think, like we said, I think so many people will benefit from starting these practices. Do you hear from any kids like what's hard? Is it that's what? So do kids have a harder time or easier time kind of starting these compared to like the adults?
Starting.
Like getting into gratitude or mindfulness type breathing exercises.
It totally depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
as a whole, whether it's a child or an adult,
I
I would say,
gotcha.
because they have to be open to it, of course.
Yeah.
If they don't really want to change, then can't really make them. You
No,
can
that's a
give
good
them,
point.
you know,
Yeah.
the tools, but they have to. And that's something that I talk to my children a lot about too.
Mm-hmm.
Is my children isn't my clients, but
I got you. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
mine for the time
Right.
being. Is the stuff. I don't like the term homework. So currently I'm calling it yay work because
Nice.
it's yay and it's exciting. So I'm
There you
trying to
go.
figure out the work part, but
Yeah.
we'll get there. So their yay work is, say it's mirror work. And I explain to them, I'm like, this is for you. Like if you do it or not, it doesn't affect me. There's no grade at the end of this. Like
Right.
the only person that's going to benefit is yourself or not benefit.
100%.
So I explain that to them. And I mean, I've had pretty good, they follow through with it. At least they tell me they do. And I explain to them, like, if you don't do it, you're not affecting me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather you be honest so we can figure out a different, like, route or different tools to practice.
Right.
But yeah, definitely they try it, which
that's awesome.
they're open to it.
Yeah. It's always good. And it's been cool just to see the process in my own life, like starting it and seeing the difference and everything and seeing what's come out of that. So that's why I always tell people, I'm like, man, you got to at least just start telling yourself good things about yourself. Like just start there, just start being grateful for what you have and who you are and things will change. And I think it's so important because like we said, so many people deal with like depression, anxiety, stress, and low self-worth and everything. And it's becoming more and more prevalent, I think, unfortunately. But to be able to be a part of doing something and changing like you're doing is really awesome, and excited to see how it continues to grow as you go about this journey. And I know you talked about your parents and how they've both impacted your journey, but have you had, and this kind of goes with pencil leadership, the traits within that, have you had someone like a mentor or a coach or someone that's really sticks out to in your mind that's impacted your journey a lot, besides maybe your mom, or is she's the most prevalent one?
Definitely. I have just a really good group, like a really good support system. And I'm very, very lucky to have such a good support system.
Yeah.
My mom is definitely one of my biggest cheerleaders, if not my biggest.
That's awesome.
I have really good group of friends that are supportive and a really big family that watches and listens to every one of my podcasts and is always there, cheering me on.
That's wonderful.
And and then life coaches and business coaches. Definitely, I've had some incredible life coaches that have supported me and gotten me to help me build the confidence in myself to get to where I am.
Yeah. And those are both having the right circle around you, really the positive influence, because we can have a circle around us, but they can be negative and take us the whole wrong way. And then the coaches, so places we might be lacking in, being able to humble ourselves and seek that. It's so cool that you've had both those in a positive way and been able to grow from them. So that's awesome. And I know you spoke to, and this kind of goes to the second one, about like having the anxiety and the depression and everything previously. Besides that, or has that been your hardest time that you've been through? But looking back, you've seen the growth and the positive that's come out of that?
Yeah, so the depression I was already struggling with, but
Mm,
a specific hard time
yeah.
that um, kind of helped me get to where I am today
Yeah.
was at the beginning of me creating this business. My dad was given 6 months. He already had
Uh,
cancer for 18 years. So um, that was a really difficult thing. And he
mm,
moved in with my mom and I was able to be his full time caregiver.
wow.
And it was one of like this. So I was already on this personal development journey and
Mm-hmm.
researching mindfulness. And I was at that time on depression medicine, which I did
Mm,
not like being
right.
on. But it was a really it was the worst time of my life,
Mm,
obviously, but at the same time it was the best time of my life because of the positive, stuff that I was able to take out of it. I grew an amazing relationship with my dad that I never had.
wow.
And I was really able to practice what I preach. I was in a really
Huh.
challenging time of my life, and
Yeah.
practicing the breathing exercises and the gratitude and just living in the moment and being mindful really helped me get through that
Mm,
whole 6 months about that
wow.
I was his caregiver. Yeah.
Man, that's tough. Thank you for sharing. That's not always easy, but it's really cool to see that you were able to take positive from such a rough and hard time, and hopefully can give hope to someone listening today that might be in the midst of it, that they can take positive from it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and giving us that experience. And the last one that goes with pencil leadership that I'd like to ask you is, after everything is done here on earth for you, your time is over, what positive mark do you want people to see from your life?
I
A
want,
deep one.
I know.
Oh,
I just did a post on this actually on the
nice.
legacy that I
There you
hope to
go.
leave. I want to be or leave be a positive influence to help children grow into happy, whole, and authentic human beings.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I mean they're the future, and if we're not catering and feeding positivity into that, it could be a scary thing. And so I think that mission is awesome. And I know that you're doing a great job at it. And I know that there's going to be a positive mark left from what you're doing. And so that's pretty cool. So again, we're thankful for you coming on the show and sharing that knowledge and perspective and information on mindfulness and just the importance of having it in children's lives, especially. And how we can incorporate that into our lives. So, Jessica, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Before we go, though, how can people reach out to you? I know you did the text number earlier, but where else can people find your information or to get connected with you?
My website is
Okay.
calmandcolorful.com,
Awesome.
and my Facebook and Instagram, and I think LinkedIn as well, is all at Calm and Colorful.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, yeah, you guys got to check out what she's doing, get connected with her, take advantage of what she's doing for sure. Again, Jessica, thanks so much for being on Pencil Leadership today. Learned so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you.